Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is a new installment of Revolutions, the series in which I discuss what I've been playing recently. And so, if you're stopping by and you are thinking of leaving me a comment, please do. Don't hesitate. I always respond. I'm not too cool to respond like some other channels. I don't understand why you would, make videos about a specific topic like this and just ignore people who write comments, but I mean, I digress. Yesterday I was hung out for the whole day with Amos, who started as a viewer of mine, and now we're mates. We go out and we go and we went to a record fair yesterday. Actually, it was really good fun. I might put some footage there just for the sake of it. So let's get back to the point. You're here to see records. So I'm just going to show you one record that I bought yesterday on my little digging trip with Amos. I bought quite a pile of records yesterday at the fair, but the one that I listened to this morning was this one, recomposed by Max Richter, the Four Seasons, Vivaldi, which I've wanted for years and years. I wanted to buy this, and sort of like it was always a little bit too expensive, and found a nice copy yesterday, so I snapped it up. It's a fantastic reworking by Max Richter, who is an English composer pianist who lives in I believe he lives in Germany, and he's redone the whole of the Four Seasons with extra electronic reworking, and it's just he plays the Moog on it, Max Richter. It's just a stunning piece of work. It's obviously kind of has this Baroque theme throughout. I mean, everybody knows the Four Seasons by Vivaldi. If you like the Four Seasons, I mean, it's impossible that you won't like this. I revisited this week. I've revisited a Alabaster dePlume to Psy and Lee instrumental volume 1. So Alabaster dePlume, I think, is a Manchester based saxophonist. He's released a couple of albums for the International Anthem label, this being the first one, but I think it's a compilation. I did get this during lockdown, and I did play it a lot then. And I revisited this last week because I had a couple of friends who came to play some records, and I just pulled it out for. We were talking about it. It's just beautiful, meditative, kind of spiritual, in ways. This record. So Alabaster dePlume plays the saxophone, and he's obviously got a wonderful band around him. It's really really nice jazz record. I picked up the new Fire Orchestra, the Echoes, the box set, but I'm not really too familiar with it. So I was playing this a bit more, Arrival, which is the album right before Echoes. And I think this album is is very charming. It's got these female vocals interwoven. It's very melodic. Obviously, the Fire Orchestra is a big band from Sweden, and they feature Mats Gustafsson and amongst others. They're a very big band. Beautiful vocals by Sofia Jenberg, and who is doing vocals on this? I think there's a couple of voices. 2019 on the Rune Gramophone label. This is a sublime record. Yeah, experimental big band jazz with vocals. They do a cover of At Last I'm Free by Chic / Robert Wyatt, but it's a Chic song really, which is a song that I really really adore personally. I think it's and I've got 3 or 4 versions. I don't know if anybody's heard the version by Liz Fraser from the Cocktail Twins. Beautiful as well, but this one is sublime too. I revisited Free at Last, the very first ECM album. The very, very, very first ECM 1001. It's the very first release on the ECM catalog. Mal Waldron trio. We have Mal Waldron on piano, Isla Eckinger on bass, and Clarence Beckton on drums. And free. It's kind of free. It's more like a bebop session with a little bit of free in it. But I just think that it's not a record that is talked about very often in these around these parts. This was a reissue that I picked up it was from 2019. They've redone it's a redux with like lots of nice photos and all sorts. It sounds absolutely amazing. It's magical. The sound is beautiful on this, and it's funny. I was able to pick it up locally back then, and kind of when you've got a ton of records, sometimes you do forget about what you've got. Like I've got 4,000 records there, so for sure I'm going to forget about some things, but free at last. ECM 1001. Here's a record that I picked up only recently. One of the new Salt records. I don't know what this one is titled. 2, maybe? 11? 11. I think it's 11. Sorry. See, I'm too stupid to do videos on the vinyl community. That's why I don't do vinyl community videos. The Salt is a mysterious kind of anonymous outfit from Bristol, I think, produced by Inflow and featuring probably most likely Cleo Soul, maybe Michael Kiwanuka plays on this, I don't know. And it's the first album that they've issued with a red cover. All the others are black. I mean, they had to diversify after a while. And I don't know, but there was always a tiny little dot on the album there. And it doesn't seem to be there anymore. Tiny little, that was their trademark. This is wonderful. This is probably out of the 5 new Salt albums. It's probably the pick of the bunch. Buy with confidence. It's really funky, soulful. Yeah, it's very, very, very funky soul, and very nicely done. Okay. I was talking last week or the week before about the Vijay Iva new release on ECM. And I was talking about Arooj Aftab. And I love this record. This record here is sublime. Like, it's absolutely incredible. So this is Arooj Aftab. She's Pakistani but lives in Brooklyn. She sings obviously in Urdu. She does also sing in English. There's a track called Last Night, which is a beautiful reggae track. Is it Last Night, the reggae track? I can't remember. I think it is. I think it's Last Night. There's this beautiful reggae song in the middle of there that doesn't really belong to the rest. And it's just sublime. I think that's the song. So, and this version is the deluxe edition, features a collaboration with Anushka Shankar. But this record really is a modern classic, like no more, no less. It's a modern classic. It's a Pakistani kind of little bit devotional pop album, which is filled with gorgeous, lush melodies. She's a sublime singer. I mean, really, I overuse the adjective, but honestly, she's incredible. A couple of weeks ago, I went to see a friend of mine, and he had 2 copies of this. So we did a little bit of a trade. Studio One Classics. Fantastic collection of early reggae tunes, from the Scatterlights to, Horace Andy, and very, very cool, sort of very roots oriented. Love the sleeve. I love soul jazz records, so I'm not going to talk about this too much, but it's a very lovely compilation. I need to explore it a bit more. In fact, some electronic music. Because I had a couple of friends last week here, and I just pulled out some records. And one of the records I pulled out was this Halden, the very first album, Guerilla Electronique, dedicated to Robert White, Richard Pinas, what can I say? This is again one of these French electronic progressive masterpieces. Um, it's kind of dark and ominous. This record. It has the classic Le Voyageur, which was, I think it was issued. I think they issued it as a single back in the day. But it's very cerebral music. It's very, it's electronic. Yeah, sort of electronic. It's even a little bit crowd rock esque, may I say, if you like that sort of music. But I'm sure people watching this channel are familiar with Heldon, at the very least. Here's an Italo disco slash synth funk, electro funk classic. Alexander Robotnik. Ce n'est qu'un début. It's just the beginning. Yeah, with the absolute classic Problème d'amour. Love problem. That's just this album is the bomb. It's an Italo disco record basically, but more like a synth funk with a synth funk bass. It's almost mutant disco in its essence. The first couple of tracks, and it's just got 6 tracks, and is the project of what's his name, the guy, it's Carlo Tartaro, Sandro Morini, and Andrea Venturoli, the 3 heads of this. Okay, moving on. This is mind blowing. Okay, KH, looking at your pager. What a tune. So KH is Kieran Hebden, aka Fortet. Fortet. This is a single that he put out in 2022. It's just 2 tracks. Looking at your pager and Only Human. This is bombastic good. Like, it's like the vocals on it like, originally I was at a gig and there was a DJ before the gig and they were playing this tune that's so hypnotic, so incredibly like dense, and I thought, what the fuck is this? And it took me a while, but I came across this single from a local shop, and when I first heard it, when I first put it on the turntable, I thought, oh, that's it. That's that song. I didn't know what it was, but sort of discovered it randomly. This is very, very good. I think it's come out under the Ministry of Sounds label. Yeah, listen to that. Listen to this single. Looking at your pager, on the Human. It's amazing. More electronic music. Here is Sun Palace, Rude Movement. Now, Sun Palace is a project from, what's this guy called? Mike Collins. In 1981, is the guy playing the guitar there. 1981, in his home studio in London, he recorded this track called Rude Movement. He did it on just like a simple keyboards. On the Roland CR78, and I think he used a sequencer as well. And this became kind of like a sort of cult iconic track. I think it was used by Nick Siano and Larry Levan, and like people like very famous DJs used that track because it was amazing. And it was remixed a couple of years ago by these luminaries like Kenny Dope, Moody Man, Frankie Feliciano, and François Kervokian. And so what you've got here is different mixes of Rude Movement. Amazing. The Moody Man one, the first tune, is just absolutely amazing. It's 8 minutes of pure joy. Shout out to Chris Cole, my friend Chris Cole. He was posting this the other day. It's a Fourth World compilation with Peter Gabriel, lots of like African groups, Abdullah Ibrahim. You got John Hassel, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, Peter Hamill on this. You've got David Byrne, Pete Townsend, Shankar, Olga Tsukai. So it's kind of this avant-garde, fourth world, ambient kind of compilation, which was done for charity. And it's got a lovely write-up about each one of these things. This came out in 1982 on where? On WEA Records. And you can pick this up for super cheap. I would highly recommend. And Chris just posted, like we just share some records on WhatsApp, and he posted this, and that looks cool, and I've actually found it locally, so very nice. And whilst I'm talking about fourth world and ambient, it was a brand new record by Adam Halliwell. Adam Halliwell is the guitar player in Mild Life, and he's made a completely inspired by John Hassel record called Freedom Lapse. If you like John Hassel, this is just like 100% up your alley. All instruments played by Adam Halliwell. It's got this fourth world tinge. It's tribal ambient all the way. And likewise, this other record here, same deal. Peter Gabriel, John Hassel. This is Phil Stroud, Australian musician as well. This to me is a modern masterpiece. It's called Apparitions. I don't know why, but I think I showed this record already in my last video, probably, but it's still in my pile, so if I have, I apologize. Listen to Chase the Dragon. I mean, you know, yeah. Okay, a couple more and I'll finish off, okay, because I'm already on 24 minutes. Okay. I was doing a lot of like minimal synth and, you know, post-punk stuff and synth stuff. This is The Passage, a band from, I think they're from Manchester or somewhere up north, maybe Liverpool, on Cherry Red. This, to me, sounds like a mix between OMD and The Smiths. The vocalist sounds a lot like a sort of a Morrissey type, and it's quite literate as well. I think it's very cheap to get, you know, if you like those two influences, those two bands. I recommend The Passage, Degenerates. Somebody paid £2.95 back in the day, lucky bastards. Maybe that was a lot of money. It probably was. This is a really lovely record too, which I scored for very cheap recently. But it's a record that I had on download for many years, probably more than 10 years. Is the Hypothetical Prophets, French cold wave minimal synth band. Don't know exactly where they're from, but they're French. And it's called Around the World with the Prophets. It's a sublime record. It's really, yeah. I mean, if you do like things like Joy Division and if you like your synth, this will be. Look, I've talked too much, so you can check it out yourself. It's an excellent record. Take my word for it. I've been revisiting a lot of this. I'm in love with movement at the moment. I don't know why I'm playing it a lot, as well as the BBC sessions. But this is a great record, and I love, you know, Stence's Chosen Time. ICB is great. This is the direct continuation from Closer. This is the most Joy Division album that New Order's ever made. It's completely and utterly still sort of encased in the Joy Division mold. And finally, because I'm on 26 minutes, Karate, a band from Boston, I think, or somewhere there. Picked up their records when they were cheap, probably 20 years ago, nearly. When I started living here, I bought these records like long time ago, but they were very cheap in my local record store. This is in place of Real Insight. I did an entire video about 12 years ago on the VC talking about this record as an obscure classic, which I think it still is. It's kind of like an emo meets post-punk. It's like Slint. It's a bit like Slint, but more melodic and less angry. Karate in place of Real Insight, 1995, say 97, sorry. I'm going to stop here because I'm running out of light, and I've said enough. Leave me some comments. Love you all. Take care.